The dim, incandescent can light burns the back of your head from above. Your mouth is a desert, lips parched as you struggle to even swallow your own saliva. An irregular heartbeat increases its oscillations, and your vision blurs as you attempt to read your own cards. You're a house pet, a term coined only for those drowning in the debt of the student council, and this one hand of poker could seal your fate for the rest of your life or set you free of the shackles of your dues. Anger, guilt, nervousness, and tension well up inside your brain, clouding any sense of strategy once present in your arsenal. Your remaining cards are dealt, each one like a subsequent dagger being driven into your heart. Your fingers dig into the cheap felt lining table and begin to burn from friction. As the last card approaches, thousands of scenarios race through your mind, and your opponent's stoic appearance does nothing to ease the pressure. Will you survive? Will your reputation and existence be dismantled, succumbing to the hands of the tyrannical council? The final card slams down with a thunderous echo. Gambling is a subject rare to take center stage in the realm of anime. Kaiji, Death Parade, and Liar Game are some of the only examples I can think of in the media until Studio Mappa's Kakegurui landed. From a viewer's perspective, for the gambling to really have an impact on our senses, the scenes must comprise a balance of suspense, mind games, and creativity. Kaiji the Gambler, arguably the best example I can think of, features a main character literally gambling for his life, in games that are either very intricate or require a large degree of mental fortitude to participate in. The result is white-knuckle tension that has your finger hovering over the skip button, ready to binge through the entire anime in one sitting. Kakegurui attempts to mimic Kaiji's critical success with a different target audience by introducing better animation in a more familiar setting, high school. Because, gambling in high school makes sense. There is a well-visioned setup with the taboo setting of school in which students engage in lavish betting and gambling once that last bell rings for the day. We witness firsthand the daunting effects of losing in the school. You're deemed a house pet, and everyone treats you accordingly. This wouldn't be quite as ridiculous if it were for the fact that the kids are ridiculed and treated like crap in high school to begin with. In essence, this significantly dilutes any ounce of realism with regards to the stakes these students are playing for, and ultimately the entire premise from the beginning. The upside is that if you are successful at gambling and start raking in the dough, your family is already rich as crap, so none of this really even matters to begin with. See my point? From its inception, Kakegurui's narrative is faulted. The whole premise of the anime seems pointless, that if you win, you'll be rich, and if you lose, you'll still be rich, but get treated like that awkward kid who frequently gets stuffed into lockers.
Is there a doctor in the house?
The student council seems to rule the school with an iron fist, but I'm not actually sure what they do, except cheat to win, fly in fancy helicopters, and wear terrifying androgynous masks. Unassuming transfer student Yumiko Jabami looks to shake things up at the school by winning any and every gambling match she's in. Countless opponents fall victim to her innate ability to see through tricks and deftly play each person for a fool. This can be frustratingly similar to the no game, no life effect in which Sora and Shiro's victory was assumed prior to them even starting the game. To top it off, Jabami seems to get off on the thought of risking everything on each of her matches. Each of her mental orgasms are brought to our attention in exhausting detail as her eyes leer red and her legs tremble with excitement. The anime progresses almost episodically with a rinse-repeat effect. New characters are introduced, Jabami challenges them, a new game is played, and Jabami emerges victorious yet again. This process repeats over and over and over again in a do-loop merry-go-round. There's no sense of doubt, no uncertainty built into the script. It's a perpetual nightmare from a scripting perspective. With Jabami at the helm, we as viewers never really experience her thoughts about anything. Neither her strategy, intuition, or objective ever becomes clear, and the games themselves often end up narrated by her foes. Long, overthought monologues about what they think she is planning through each and every move, which began to take a toll on my attention span once I knew the eventual outcome prior to each match even taking place. And since a majority of the anime is spent in-game, and we don't catch a glimpse of what Jamami is thinking, her characterization is basically thrown out the window. I mean, you get a little bit of it in the second season, but just not much there. The rare occurrence of a line of dialogue from our heroine is spent devilishly coercing another one of her pawns to help her win a bet in a game. The main protagonist in the anime doesn't even have freaking character development. It's embarrassing. Did I mention how edgy Kakegurui is? I was legitimately interested to see where the plot would unfold when I started the series, but my supposition quickly dissolved when I uncovered the anime's true nature. It was 2017, so I'm not sure what I expected, but the initial consensus was that I was at least intrigued. So a girl gets her jollies by gambling, who cares? But when every character acts as if they're on the verge of insanity, now we have an inherent problem. Not to mention the horrifically unattractive adrenaline slut who gets wet thinking about having her head blown off from a game of Russian roulette. It's one sex scene away from being a dumpster fire Sundance film about how raw and gritty some teenager's life is. Again, it's the tactical diversion producers craft to steer the audience away from how dreadfully written a show can be, simply because it's dark or shocking. I don't always mind this level of scheming when the veil is at least entertaining. But in Kakegurui, you get the worst of both worlds, badly written and boring. It would be a disservice to weebs everywhere if I didn't at least attempt to address the comparisons between Kaiji and Kakegurui. Kaiji is, as a protagonist, someone you can really root for. His awful luck is inviting in a sympathetic manner. He basically starts from nothing and risks his actual life for a chance at redemption. Jabami comes seemingly from out of nowhere, with no clear motive and little to no relatability. Kaiji's gambling games are fewer, but are better explained and are crafted more intricately. Kakegurui falters partially due to the shorter runtime, and that the games are changed so quickly that less attention is given to their development. It feels like the writers are more focused on getting through everything vice making an impact on what they introduce. Kaiji is primarily a male cast, making it harder to attract female viewers, but ideal for a seinen genre. Kakegurui has more females than you can shake a stick at. Lollies, tsunderes, yanderes to boot. Kakegurui is like great value brand Kaiji, now with chicks! Lastly, as I mentioned previously, most of Kakegurui's dialogue comes from the opposition, creating a wall between the viewer and the character appearing to be the main protagonist. In Kaiji, this internalization is shared between he and his adversaries. It creates an equilibrium that helps the viewer rationalize either end of the gamble. I think it would come off as redundant if I expounded any more about the characters in Kakegurui. Despite having significantly less screen time, Ryota and Mieri receive significantly more development than Jabami, inflating my unpopular opinion of her tenfold. We do get some backstory on a few minor characters, but nothing short of a plot device in order to propel the story forward. Possibly the most interesting character from the entire cast is Manuda, who actually has a clearly defined motive, is cutthroat and calculating, and doesn't seem to break character as much as to partake in edgy escapades. Oh yeah, and he's the only member of the student council who actually gambled fairly, at least in his own game. If you're looking for relatable or enticing characters, Kakegurui may not be the anime for you. If there's anything I learned from watching Kakegurui, it's that facial expressions are apparently everything. In an environment where maintaining a poker face is often sought after, the animators in this anime decided to do the exact opposite and emblazon a crazy face on almost every character in the cast. It's one of the selling points of the anime and the manga. It's brilliant in some respects because it helps distract the viewer from the rest of the anime's inadequacies by giving them a fresh dose of ADHD, but is entirely unnecessary. It does help manifest some false suspense, although it only ends up making some of the scenes more irritating. The rest of the animation is quite good, and the overall tone it sets for the show works well for the subject matter. The character models are attractive and proportional, and the flashier scenes with dialogue-heavy moments please the eye. One major blemish on the show's art side would be the complete lack of animation with the Jabba Me idol karaoke scene. It was damn ugly. It came across like complete laziness with the still image of Jabba Me fading out into the completion of her song. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it was jarring to say the least. To help make up for it, at least they added a completely random duet between her and Yumemi to close out the episode. I'll be honest, I absolutely love the OP for this show, at least the first one. It's a psychedelic, sexy acid trip with a risque jazz track narrating the visuals. If you look closely, it even tells a small story relating to the story's progression of the anime itself. The ending, on the other hand, leaves a lot to be desired. Sans the mystery of what's underneath Jabba Me's outer layer of clothing. The song isn't even catchy, a quality I can at least cling to in an ending. The rest of the soundtrack existed to create false tension and accentuate the mood of its corresponding scenes, and I can't really recall it being necessarily bad. Voice acting in Kakegurui is one of its strong points, and I can only imagine how much fun the seiyus had, considering how edgy these series can be. The actors actually had a chance to break character and have a good time. From an entertainment perspective, Kakegurui hits all the wickets. It has hot girls, great animation, and an almost avant-garde approach to storytelling which could be incredibly appealing to young, impressionable audiences, aka most of us in the anime community. That being said, I can't be baffled by how well the show was received, even if I didn't agree with it. This is the main purpose of a reviewer or critic, to point out enjoyment as well as flaws. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't enjoy the anime. But is it a good gambling anime? Hardly. It suffers from a severe lack of character development, relatability, and has an edgy stigma about it that I can't shake. The previous negatives, coupled with the unrealistic premise, can create some harsh criticisms and overall disappointment. I'd recommend this to fans of shows like ReZero, No Game No Life, or any other similar series, due in part to it being edgy and appealing to a certain audience. There is a second season of Kakegurui, and I can't for the life of me say it gets any better. Unfortunately, if I want my gambling fix, I'll have to wait for season 3 of Kaiji. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Honest Anime Reviews. Thanks guys so much for watching, and let me know what you thought of the anime down below. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, just remember to subscribe, like the video, and smash that bell for future notifications so that my anime reviews and other videos can come to the top of your list. Alright guys, have a great day.